It's now again. Welcome back to Mindful Deconstruction, your daily mindfulness training session for people who are leaving their faith or have left their faith and are deconstructing. I am your host, Jeremy West, and today we're exploring a topic that touches the hearts of many on their deconstruction journey. How do we parent mindfully after leaving a faith tradition? For many of us, faith once provided a clear roadmap for raising children. I didn't have children yet when I left the faith, but I did learn a lot about how to raise children in church before I did leave the faith and before I had children. And, specific values and traditions and ways of thinking, you're given a bit of a roadmap within the church. Leaving that framework can feel like losing a guidebook. But it also opens the door to parenting in a way that aligns more authentically with who you are and who your children are and what you would like to pass on to your children. So let's dive into how mindfulness can help you navigate this transition with confidence, clarity, and compassion. Firstly, the first thing you need to do, which we've talked about on a lot of the episodes, is redefining your values. So specifically around parenting, you'd ask yourself, what values do I want to instill in my children? In many faith traditions, values like kindness, honesty, and respect are tied to religious teachings. Without that structure, you might worry about how to foster those traits. But the truth is, these values do not require a religious context. They come from the way you live, and more importantly, the example that you set for your children. Take time to reflect. What qualities do you admire in others? What principles guide your decisions? How do you want your children to treat themselves and others? Mindfulness can help you clarify your values. During meditation or quiet reflection, focus on what feels most important to you. Write these values down and consider how they show up in your daily life. Second thing to consider is fostering open communication. One of the greatest gifts that you can give your children is the freedom to ask questions and express themselves. Without the rigid doctrines of faith, you can create a space where curiosity and critical thinking are encouraged. When your child asks tough questions about life, death, morality, or even why you left your faith, approach these conversations with openness and honesty. Here's a mindful approach to answering tough questions. Pause before responding. Take a deep breath to ground yourself. Acknowledge their feelings. That's a great question. I'm so glad you feel comfortable asking me. Be honest. I don't have all the answers, but I'm happy to explore this with you. This approach models vulnerability and encourages your children to think for themselves, rather than seeking one definitive answer. Third thing to do is to model authenticity. One of the most powerful ways to parent mindfully is to live authentically. Your children learn more from your actions than your words. Mindfulness teaches us to embrace who we are, flaws and all. As you navigate your own deconstruction journey, share age-appropriate parts of that process with your children. For example, if you're exploring new spiritual or philosophical ideas, let them see you reading, reflecting, or meditating. If you've made mistakes, own them and show how you're working to grow. If you're still figuring things out, admit it. Say, I'm learning what I believe, and that's okay. By modeling authenticity, you show your children that it's okay to evolve, question, and grow. Fourthly, you can teach through experience. Without religious rituals or teachings, you have the opportunity to create new traditions and lessons that reflect your values. Here are a few ideas. Gratitude practice. At dinner or bedtime, invite your children to share something they're grateful for. Acts of kindness. Involve your children in community service or small acts of generosity, like baking cookies for a neighbor. Mindfulness moments. Practice mindfulness together. Try a short breathing exercise before bedtime or a body scan after a busy day. These practices not only instill values, but also create moments of connection and presence. Number 5, navigate moral questions mindfully. One challenge of parenting without religious rules is helping children navigate moral dilemmas. Instead of relying on because the Bible says so, you can guide your children to think critically and empathetically. When your child faces a moral question, try this approach. Pause, ask them to describe the situation and how they feel. 2, reflect, explore together how their choices might align with your family's values. For example, how does kindness fit into this situation? And then 3, decide together. Encourage them to make a decision based on empathy and integrity. I should say in there as well, I said to describe how they feel. See if you can get them as well to describe how the other person in this moral quandary feels. If there's somebody else involved, how do they think that person feels, and what do they think that their decision, in what way will it affect the other person? And that's what creates empathy. This process not only teaches critical thinking, but also empowers your child to develop their own moral compass. And then importantly, you need to allow space for your children's own beliefs. As your children grow, they may explore their own beliefs. They might even gravitate towards ideas or traditions that you've left behind. This can feel challenging, but it's an opportunity to practice acceptance and support. Remember, your role is not to dictate what your children believe, but to guide them in navigating life with curiosity, kindness, and mindfulness. When they express different beliefs from yours, respond with openness. I'm so proud of you for exploring what feels true to you. It's okay if we believe different things. What matters most is how we treat each other. This approach reinforces that your love and respect are unconditional. And then prioritize self-care. Parenting is demanding, and the added complexities of deconstruction can feel overwhelming. That's why self-care is essential. Take time to recharge so you can parent from a place of calm and presence. Whether it's meditation, exercise, journaling, or simply taking a moment to breathe, caring for yourself allows you to show up fully for your children. Now, with my children, speaking of helping them develop ethics and morality, I'll say that one, not having a Bible to go by is difficult. But one thing that we did was we watched the TV show The Good Place together, which is on Netflix. And we binged that show together. And it's so good because it is a show that is at the same time both a silly comedy with silly dumb jokes that have you laughing through the whole thing, and they're funny for the whole family, and at the same time it explores deep ethical questions and morality and the possibility of life after death and fairness and all these different ethics in such a fun way. And it gets discussions going about, what would you do in this situation, or what do you think is the best thing? And it's just such a good show, and it doesn't tell you the answers. It gives you a lot of different ethical philosophies and that sort of thing, and examples of these, and then helps you to explore these questions for yourself. And it's been really good with me and my kids. So if this resonates with you, you might make today's daily intention. Daily intention. How many more ways can I parent with mindfulness, authenticity, and love even more? For more on setting daily intentions, revisit episode 59 of season 1. It's now again. Parenting after leaving faith is a journey of growth for both you and your children. By embracing mindfulness, modeling authenticity, and fostering open communication, you can create a nurturing environment that supports their development and aligns with your evolving beliefs. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Mindful Deconstruction. If you have questions or thoughts to share, visit jeremywest.net, where you can also find out about my group and one-on-one mindfulness coaching. Until tomorrow, stay present, keep practicing, and remember, it's now again.